with the white pieces is playing Grandmaster Duda Jan-Krzysztof. Duda is a former World Cup champion. In this game, he plays the Bongcloud opening against none other than Hikaru Nakamura. It's like going to hunt a lion in the lion's den. Will Duda get away with this? Because there have been cases where strong players have played this move against super strong grandmasters and they have managed to get away with it. Or can Hikaru punish him for making this dubious opening choice? So king e2, Hikaru plays d5, taking control of the center. And if you see, black simply continues developing his pieces with very nice moves. And f3. Now the thing for white is he wants to make sure that the king finds safety, because on e2 it is neither safe and at the same time it is blocking the development of many of his pieces. So white wants to get rid of that, solve that problem. Black meanwhile continues development, and just if you see, by move 6 black has castled, black has got most of their pieces out. Now the major pieces will come into the game, whereas white is still undeveloped. But the good thing for white is that the position is closed, and as long as the position remains closed, it will be hard for black's pieces to create an attack and to expose the weak position of this king. So white also realizes that he must also develop his pieces. Knight e2, queen e7, knight b5, aiming to trade this bishop, and bishop b4. Remember, here black has more space, so intuitively whenever you have more space you don't want to exchange pieces, you want to avoid exchanging pieces. So bishop b4 makes sense, avoiding trades. c3 happens, bishop drops back, a4. This sets up a very clever threat. Now if you are lazy and play a move like rook e8, there is always this clever bishop trap, because yeah, this bishop just has no squares to go, so you have to be careful. Hikaru of course is not going to fall for it, and he plays the move bishop to b6 directly. Now of course there's no a5 because you have two pieces who can capture the pawn. Okay, so after bishop to b6, white plays h3, black kicks the knight, and black plays knight e8. Now the idea of the move knight e8 is this knight is kind of it kind of was limited on the f6 square because it cannot really go forward, and at the same time by going knight e8 it also opens the diagonal for this queen to keep an eye on this vulnerable diagonal. Okay, so b4 happened, the knight reroutes to d6. It can now go here, which is a weak square, or it can at some point go to f5. Lot of options. White plays g3, black develops, rook a2, queen f6, king g2, bishop f5. Now white plays g4, hitting at the bishop, trying to shoo it away and also gaining some space so that, you know, the knight can come out, then the bishop can come out, so that white's pieces are able to get to proper nice squares. The bishop drops back, white goes knight g3. And now if you see in this position, up till now all of black's moves have been very natural moves. Okay, very natural moves. Black has not done anything silly. All they have done is they have controlled the center, they have developed all their pieces, and they have made sure that their king is safe. They're playing with each and every piece. Okay, this is how you want to play ideally when you are, let's say, facing an opposition who is you know, breaking all the opening principles. See here, black decides it's time now that all his pieces are developed, that he can open the position and really start to target this king. So Hikaru here plays the move h5. Okay, now he's looking either to open the position like this, or just to, maybe he has some other threats too, as you'll soon see in the game. Now you may think that this pawn is free, but it's not really. Like if you capture with the knight, you're just exposing your king. Next move there is queen g5 and queen h5. Black really wants to gobble the pawn. Or let's say if you decide to keep the pieces and go gh5, it still doesn't change much, because after bishop h7 this file is open. So next move black can play knight f5, exchange this knight. This pawn is going to fall very soon. So h5 happened, rook g1, and now instead of capturing here, Hikaru decides to play h4, once again taking away an important square from the white army, this g3 square. Knight goes back to e2. Now remember, white cannot access this g3 square. Black simply continues playing the move rook a8, getting his rooks on very nice positions, Both of them are like looking at these two central files and eyeing the queen. Bishop d2 happened. The knight jumps to c4, takes, a5, bishop drops back, queen e1. The queen is trying to run away from the line of fire of these two rooks. Bishop d3, queen f2. The queen runs away. When you have more space, you don't want to trade pieces, and when you have less space, you want to try to trade pieces. So this dictates the strategy for both sides in this position. White would love to see one more pair of pieces get exchanged off. Black, meanwhile, would not want to exchange many pieces. Knight e7 happened in the game. Knight drops back to c1, and bishop c1, rook f1. Again, very good for white. They've managed to exchange one set of piece. The knight goes to d5. Knight e2, queen e7, rook e1, and it looks like white has consolidated and white is safe. Like the position is closed. Yes, they still don't have enough space, but it looks like white has consolidated. c6 happened, rook b2, ed4, knight d4, and queen f6. Yes, even though the material is equal and it looks like white has found some bit of control over the position, the problem with playing moves like e3, f3 so early on is now the weaknesses of such moves is being felt, especially e3, f3 and g4. So the moves that Duda made in the opening, they are really starting to hurt him right now. To attack this weak pawn on e3, there is a very nice plan Hikaru comes up with. First he plays the move g6. Also, the idea of g6 is to just make sure that this knight doesn't jump here. And after king h8, he plays the move. Black plays the move, rook d7. Now the idea here is to double the rook on this file and start to put pressure on this e3 pawn. Rook e2 was played in the game. And in this position, Hikaru decides to chop off this knight. Now there is an important decision to make for white. White had to go c into d4 and somehow be okay that after this is a playable position for them. This is what would have been ideal according to the engines. But of course, when you are playing a short time control, it's hard to understand the big difference between cd4 and ad4. So in the position, white took e into d4. Don't want to double because it would allow white's other rook to also come into the battle. Instead, what you do here is you trade the rooks and then you fight for the open file by bringing your other rook. Okay, now what this does is it gives you an open file, and of course on the next turn white's rook can come very quickly into the game and challenge your rook. But meanwhile, at this moment you have some time to organize some kind of a threat against white's position. Black plays the move knight f4, hitting this pawn, also maybe looking to go to d3. White says, I don't want the knight there, I'm gonna chop it off. Black takes back and white plays rook f1. You cannot go rook e1 because you will just lose this f3 pawn, and at the same time you cannot capture this free pawn because black can not only take this pawn, black can even play rook e2 and there is just nobody who's defending the checkmate. Okay, queen and rook can be a deadly combination, a deadly mating combination. Rook f1 was played in the game. The rook drives all the way to e3, eyeing this pawn. White captures on h4 and black captures rook c3. You cannot go rook e2 right now because now the defender has arrived. So after rook f2, there is no checkmate here. This rook stops any mating ideas there. So after queen h4, black plays rook into c3, queen d8 check, king g7, and this queen is very far away in the position. King comes to g2 trying to guard this pawn. Black plays the move rook c2 check, rook f2. The defender defends the king, but black takes and pushes the pawn to c3. Next move is coming c2 c1 queen. This queen is very far away from action. It cannot get back in time to stop this pawn, and with that we have Hikaru Nakamura winning the game, punishing Duda for playing the Bongcloud. If you like this video, don't forget to smash that like button and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Over 90% of the people who watch the videos are not subscribers. Please don't do that. It really helps me out when posting videos. If you enjoyed watching this, You'll also like a game played by Magnus Carlsen where he breaks all the opening principles against a world champion and wins. Check it out.